everybody, and welcome to Wholehearted Living with
Valerie
and Benny.
I can do that.
This is the podcast where we siblings come to the table with some kind of subject matter, hopefully that's going to help you with wholehearted living. And also, we just like to talk.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I mean, if you heard last week's podcast, we were just chatting.
We really thought that was going to be a 30-minute podcast,
yeah.
So we went 45 minutes. Yeah. And not only that, the other thing that we did was, if many of you know that we do 2 podcasts in a row, and we just talk for about a half hour in between podcasts.
It's crazy how much we can talk before we start the podcast, then do one, and then talk in the middle of it. And then while we're cleaning up, we're just talking.
And
we
still
could just
talking.
talk a lot.
Most of it has to do with Iggy, our sound guy. Hey, Iggy.
Hello.
Hello.
Iggy's here.
Hey.
Still tired. You're right, Iggs?
Yeah.
He's still tired.
Still tired.
He didn't take a nap in between. Yeah.
I've been awake since the last episode.
Yeah.
That's true. And here's our wife. Hello, Patty.
Our wife.
Hey, it's a collective. It's a wholehearted life.
What is happening?
I don't know. I don't
off
want to
the
have that
rails quick.
included. Iggy, hey, you got to take that out. That's gross. Okay. Anyway, Valerie Lynn, last week we talked about our, now you have to talk about your water heater.
I already did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I thought you jumped right into Dad. You didn't really want to talk about the water heater.
I basically said what I said last week is that our water heater broke.
Oh, that's right. You
Yeah.
told a horrible story because you said it was going to be short, and then it ended up not
Well,
being
you
short.
didn't think it was going to be short, but it still was short.
It was pretty short, actually. You're right.
She actually said, I don't want to talk about the water heater, and then proceeded to talk about the water heater.
So it's really funny. She literally
This is
said,
true.
I
This
don't
is
want to
true.
talk about it. And then she goes, so. That was so funny.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah.
Iggy, you're right.
Yeah, Iggy's right. Okay. Well, everybody, I wanted to talk about the fact that our dog is getting old. This is not my topic for the wholehearted living. But our dog is very, very old nowadays. Every single time I wake up in the middle of the night to go pee, I go look and see if he's alive.
Ooh, that's sad.
Well, what else? What are the options? Because sometimes
But why do you want to know in the middle of the night?
Well, I want to know.
Then you won't be able to
whenever it
fall back
happens.
to sleep.
Oh, yeah. What would...
That's why I would just wait till the morning.
Oh, well, he's been dead for 6 hours, but at least I didn't know.
No, I don't know what I would do in that, but I understand that. Trust me, I get it. We were
Yeah,
there
because
not
he
that long
sleeps in
ago.
between us. Nowadays, he's been sleeping in between us quite a bit rather than just on your side for some reason. He's been sleeping in between us. And sometimes he's really still, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard because I really wonder.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
I do remember that feeling of, oh God, I don't feel like Buttercup's moved in a while, and moving my hand to feel her and just going, is she breathing? Yeah.
Yeah, I finally just stopped touching him because I think he gets pissed off. Because he's always like looks over at me like, seriously? It's the middle of the night.
I'm sleeping.
It's like, I don't get it. Golly, get over yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's 12, which isn't necessarily that old for a pug, apparently, that is about their lifespan. And he just, he's deaf, completely deaf, which is a weird thing. I didn't realize how deaf he was until we went to your house. You remember when we took our dog to your house that when Veronica was here, I think? And I clapped. And it was so funny. I don't know why I clapped. I don't know what I think I was trying to get your dog's attention for some reason. And your dog immediately looked at me like, what?
Right.
And our dog didn't even literally no movement whatsoever. And that's when I really realized, oh my gosh, he's totally,
I
just
remember
doesn't get it.
Buttercup, I would come home from work, and as soon as I would open the door, she would greet me at the back door because she could tell the car, right? And then there was a time where she would just be in her bed, but as soon as I would open the door, she'd get out of the bed and look at me because she could hear the door open. And then there was a time that she would just be asleep in her bed, and I would shut the door even kind of loudly just to get her attention. She didn't budge. I'd walk over to the thing and touch her or say something closer to her or whatever, and then she would just barely look up at me and oh, you're here, Yeah. And that's when you know that they're
gone.
They're going.
Yeah. And that's, it's weird because Something about Patty, I don't know what it is. Of course, I have the same thing about Patty. Isn't my wife very beautiful?
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that it's interesting because he somehow knows when she's home. Because he sits with me in the office all the time. Patty doesn't want another dog. Mm-hmm. I get it because it's kind of a pain in the butt. Like tomorrow we're going to San Diego and we're going to have to take him with us because we're going to be gone all day long and who's going to take care of him? And so it's kind of a pain in the butt. But I like the fact that I work at home and there's someone here.
Yeah.
It's just nice.
Sure.
It's something,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he sits with me in bed and literally just lays there the whole time in the office. He every once in a while moves, and sometimes I have to go get him or whatever because he can't jump on the bed anymore, really. And so I have to get him. But what's really bizarre is Patty comes home, he can't hear, and something about it, like I'm gonna guess it's smell.
Yeah.
But it's so bizarre because he can't. I mean, literally, you can throw him a treat. And it's 3 inches from his nose, and he's like, I can't find it. He's seriously the dumbest dog in the world when it comes to that. But and you have to tap your foot next to the tree, and then he's like, oh, there it is.
But your dog was even that dumb back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because
he's never been able to smell.
I remember giving Buttercup or putting something on her nose, like a treat or something, and then she'd be going crazy trying to get it, and you're like, oh, I could do that at Avina, and he wouldn't budge.
He would go, he'd go, hey, there's something on my nose.
Yeah.
He would, he's completely oblivious. Yeah. He doesn't, I'm not kidding. Our Jill, our previous dog, could be 50 feet away, and we could be in the kitchen and drop a piece of chicken, and she comes flying around the corner like she just knows that there's food on the ground. Yeah. And I'm not kidding you. We throw the treat at our dog, who catches as good as a minor league baseball player. And so, and then it drops on the ground, and then he spends 10 minutes looking for it. We have to literally go and tap our foot next to it because he can't find it.
Right.
But for some reason, he can smell when she's home. And he's like, oh, she's home. I'm going. And it's just a really most bizarre thing about her that he really knows her sense or whatever it is. But other than that, he it just seems like he's oblivious. And I would say half of the time when we come home nowadays, it depends on how long we've been gone, because sometimes he's like anxious for us to finally be home, and sometimes sometimes it's like, it's not been that long, and he's like,
wait, you guys were gone?
Yeah, it's like he has you can tell that he has no idea that we've been gone.
Right.
And then he uses the stairs all the time practically to go up, and half of the time when he doesn't, he regrets it.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to watch, but it's hard but really funny.
I know.
Because he tried to jump on the couch and just smack his face.
Yes.
It's so. I'm sorry. It's so very sad because he's so.
Sad.
But he jumps and then he goes doink.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is he just turns around like, whatever.
Sometimes he look around like, did someone see that?
See that?
Oh my God, he makes it.
Now he's under our feet. I wonder if he realizes we're talking about him. He's like,
trying to get up.
Stop.
No, now he's trying to figure out because we got the stairs turned, and he's like all confused.
How do I get up there?
Yeah, look at him.
Oh, good job, Patty.
Yeah. Now he's confused because he's like, wait, my blanket's over here. Did you see him smell the post? What's that thing? Is there a treat on the end of it?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good doggy.
Yeah. So there he is. This is a great podcast as we talk about something that they can't see.
Exactly.
Anywho. Yeah, but it's really hard to watch. I hate the fact that he's not doing well. But I shouldn't say that he's not doing well. He was sick this week.
I know that. And
so that was really a pain too, because when he's sick, we are of the belief that we're not going to spend thousands of dollars to get tests done and stuff. Yeah. So we were like, what do we do? Because on the other hand, you don't want to be kind of irresponsible, but you don't want to be like, I just don't want to spend hundreds of dollars. And they go, yeah, just send him home. He's fine. Yeah. It's like, oh, thank you.
Right.
And sure enough, we decided not to send him. And he was just having tummy issues. And, he actually seems to be fine now. Were you able to walk him around the block? Yeah, so he had a full walk around the block, so that's a big deal too.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that is good. All right. Well, we probably could get into this subject. What do you think?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Well, I'm so glad you're excited. Okay. Here's what I want to know. You mentioned last podcast that you're reading a book. Can I ask you what you're reading?
Did you remember me saying that I don't remember the name of it?
I know, but what is it about? What is it?
Oh, it's a good book.
Well, there you go, folks.
It's a book about a couple. Okay, Patty was telling me about a series she's reading, and then I started looking at the reviews and what kind of book it was, and it sounded really good. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just not a fantasy person. So another person that I follow on Instagram shared this book, and I go, oh, I like the books that she's been reading, so let me pull that up and see what it's about. And so, and I like it so far. I've read 9 chapters today. Part of Your World.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How far is 9 chapters? What kind of book is this?
It's that book right there. It's a book about, it's called Part of Your World. And it's just a romantic story about a woman who is an ER doctor, and she meets a construction worker. And this is a short synopsis. And she's trying to make the two worlds collide because her family thinks that she's higher than being with somebody like in construction, so to speak.
Okay.
And so,
yeah,
it's really good. It's well written, and I didn't want to put it down, but
yeah.
So, yeah.
9 chapters is a lot, but I'm wondering, are these like short chapters? Or
I mean, the first couple were pretty short because they were introducing the 2 characters, and then the other ones were like normal 6-7 page chapters.
Oh, okay. Well,
and why are you asking me that?
Well, because the topic today is something that I called curating your life playlist.
Okay.
So, can you guess what I'm going to say?
No.
Oh.
Well, I don't want to guess.
Yeah, you have to guess. Question. That's a question. So, what are you choosing to tune into?
Part of Your World, the book.
Well, what I'm really trying to get at is, and when we talk about wholehearted living, and we've talked about this in different ways, and so I it's always weird because we dance around the same subject matters.
Well, if you're asking me what I choose to tune into in life, okay. In terms of, and I'm going to say this about books because you asked me about books. There was many years all I did was read like self-help books, self-discovery, inspirational books, like along those lines, many years. And then it became, I'm not a big reader, but when I read, that's what I read. Then I became like, oh, I wanted to read about the O.J. Simpson's. There was a book about O.J. Simpson. Then there was a book about Scott, gosh dang it, Peterson. So and then I started reading true crime books, which I absolutely love because they were basically the biography or whatever,
right,
of like the said person in the book. So I got into that, and this summer I actually read a couple of true crime books. But also it takes you to a place where you're like, okay, I need to snap out of it. So it's almost like watching a movie that brings you down a little bit, and then you got to put on Friends or The Office or whatever.
Right.
And so that's why I also like these books there's a couple books that I read along the same line, just like a kind of romantic book that was lighthearted and not a lot of, I don't know, not a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Heaviness to it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why I'm bringing it up in regards to us talking about wholehearted living is, and it really comes down to this, is last week we talked about anxiety and depression, or I brought up depression because I think anxiety and depression often go hand in hand, is I think, I really believe that what we put in is what we get out. Uh-huh. And so one of what I thought we would talk about today is what are the things that you're with me right now and you don't know, but I kind of can guess what you're putting into your, what you're constantly putting into your brain. But I'm wondering about our listeners. What is it that you're listening to? What is it that you're reading? What is it that you're doing? And then asking yourself the question, how does this better my life? What is it that it betters?
What do you think? I'm going to ask you a question, so I can kind of guess what you put in. Can you tell me what you think I put into my life?
Well, what I would say, maybe I'm not sure what you read. Like I didn't know that you read novels, to be honest with you. I didn't know that. But, well, I guess I did know that because you and Patty have shared novels in the past and stuff, but I really didn't 100% know that. I guess I could say that what you don't put into your life are, you're not listening to and reading things that are negative, that are incredibly negative on a regular basis.
Right.
Because based on conversations that we've had, that's my assumption.
Right.
Is that you're not intentionally reading that.
No. And I agree with you 100% about everything you take in can actually manifest on what you're putting out. And it's just interesting when Peter started listening to more worship type music. I mean, I shouldn't say worship music because he listens to a lot of stuff that sounds like a lot of stuff that he listened to pre-Christian days, because there's bands that try to sound a lot alike some of the music he listens to. But when he goes back to the regular quote unquote secular music, he's like, gosh, there's a lot of like negative, he says, I don't feel good when I listen to it anymore. But in terms of like my day always starts with something with gratitude. I always say something first thing in the morning that I'm grateful for. It could be something so freaking simple. And then I also have a verse of the day that I read, and it just helps just set the tone for the day. But you're right. In terms of just taking in negative stuff, I don't like.
Yeah, I don't think of you. And then, unfortunately, it's not that I don't want people to be informed, but news often is negative. And so I read 90% of my news. I read a lot. I am a reader. So I don't know. It's August and I probably read 12, 15 books this year. And so I'm a big reader. But but the thing is that what I'm constantly wondering about is, and I agree with the music thing, music is huge because music is something that kind of feeds the soul. It's not just entertainment. I don't know that I understood that, to be honest with you. When I was young and honestly in high school, when Peter and I were growing up, and I remember Peter being surprised that I knew about Rush. And so, because that's how little I listened to music. Right. Because I remember going into Peter's room when we were in high school, and Peter had like 5,000 bands on his walls. It was all just bands and bands and bands. And I was like, holy crap, there's this many bands in the world? I was like, I had no idea. Right. I thought it was Sweet Comfort Band. and you remember those guys? Yes. It was Sweet Comfort Band. And what's his name? Brian. There was a guy. Anyway, Keith Green. Yeah. Those are the people that I listen to. Yeah. No Compromise.
Yeah. No Compromise.
It's no compromise, but I always called it no compromise. Yeah. But I mean, I always listened to that kind of stuff, and I just didn't get into any kind of regular music. I did listen to some because it's inevitable. In those days, you only listened to the radio. Right. And Christian radio was horrible. Right. And so, meaning it was difficult to get, and honestly, it was horrible too.
Well, and it was a very narrow field of what would be played on the radio.
What would be played? Yeah, it's now, it's like you were listening to 6 songs over and over and over again, and so. Nowadays it's like the world is different, but even regardless of whether or not, I'm not sure I like I understand it, please don't get me wrong, but the idea of Christian music versus secular music is really weird to me because I think music is music, but there is something about, there's different because quite frankly, there's a lot of music that I thought was horrible that when I really listen to it, I go, wow, this is really speaking to a lot of very cultural issues that are important to understand. Sure. And they're not necessarily negative, they're realities, right? And so, and there's the Taylor Swifts that are just talking about their last breakup, but and those
and again, don't get me wrong, I listen to a lot of that stuff. Well, I don't ever change my sound. I'm K-Earth, so whatever plays goes on there. But
wait, you listen to the radio?
That's all I have in my car.
Oh,
it's a radio. Yep.
Okay.
So
I forgot how to use the radio.
But I mean, I like the talk radio in the beginning on the way to work, and then they'll play a couple songs. So it's always the same old thing. But Peter's very into music. So he'll play anything from, he'll have like opera all the way to like Nine Inch Nails, and then he's got the Christian music, and then we've got, so it's all over in that place. But there is some stuff that he used to listen to, which he might still listen to, I don't know, but I would just go, I don't like this.
Doesn't feed me.
No. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely the case that, you know, for me, I actually encourage people, and part of therapy at times is I say, what are you listening to? Mm-hmm. I literally ask that question, because if you're listening to music that's, you know, about, you know, killing your mother and
right.
you know, eating a frog, it's like, well, yeah, you're probably not going to feel real good.
Right.
You know, if you're already depressed,
mm-hmm.
that's not helpful.
Sure.
And so what can you do? Mm-hmm. And so the point of this particular topic was the idea of, what you feed your soul is what you're going to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And so if you're feeding yourself crap, just like if you feed yourself literally, physically food that's crap, you're going to get heavy. You're going to be out of weight. You're not going to be, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to be able to exercise. You're going to, you know, all those things that naturally come besides the physical, later, all those things. Emotionally, if we're feeding ourselves information that's causing us pain and hurt and so on, then I think the same thing happens, which is why I was asking you, you know, what do you feed yourself? What are you doing? Yeah. And so you're saying music wise, and then there's nothing wrong with entertainment. I mean, gosh, I listen, I watch, I mean, I love TV. I absolutely love TV. I said I read a lot, and I do. But I also watch a lot of TV. So now I will say I watch a lot of brainless TV, because like if I can't watch, if I get hooked on something, it's really hard for me to stop. Mm-hmm. So I end up watching the same shows over and over and over again, so that I don't get hooked, so that I can just turn it off and go to the next thing. Right. But Patty and I have our certain shows at night, and we'll watch those shows together. But other than that, so I'm all for entertainment. I'm not trying to,
right, I get it.
This is not about me saying, stop looking at entertainment or stop listening to music or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But if you ask yourself the question, what am I listening to? What am I reading? Who am I talking to? Mm-hmm. Who are my friends? Mm-hmm. What are they saying to me?
Well, I think that you should cut even negative people out of your life too, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. I mean, there are all kinds of people in the world, and some people give you energy and some people take it away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the woman I work with at work many times on this podcast, where she drains me. And there's just a point where I've just said, I cannot.
I'm done. Yeah, and I'm gonna set my boundary, and my boundary is, well, I guess it could be different for everybody. Unfortunately, for some of you, that person who's toxic is a relative, and so you, quite frankly, it's somewhat inappropriate to completely cut them out of your life. But it doesn't mean that you can't set a boundary in terms of how much they influence you,
for sure,
and what they're allowed to do with you, and that's probably. That's something. So there's people in your life that can cause issues. There's the entertainment in your life that can cause issues. There's not only the entertainment, but then there's also a sense of intentionality. Like what do you intentionally look for to put into your life in order for you to be able to, like, please tell me if I'm speaking English, that you can manifest whatever it is that they're telling you. Yeah. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense.
Because it's fascinating to me how many people who struggle with their relationships, for instance, and yet the stuff they listen to and the stuff they're doing and even the TV shows that they watch are reinforcing the negative behavior.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree with you 100% on that. And I think that what's sad is things aren't monitored early enough in today's world in terms of what children are feeding themselves and stuff. And it's just, I'll never forget it. This is quite a few years ago. And I worked in the learning center, and there was a little girl who had her Chromebook in front of her, and she got onto a YouTube channel somehow. And of course we always make, I think right now at this point, well, anyway, it doesn't even matter, but I could tell by the way she was looking at it and looking around that she wasn't doing what she was supposed to be doing. So I just slowly made my way around to see what she had on the screen, and she minimized it. And I go, no, give me your Chromebook. And I opened it up again. And she was watching a video, and I kid you not, it had, well, I don't even know if I should say, but it was about a guy who was masturbating, and he ejaculated on the woman. And this is a
It was porn.
third grade girl watching this. And it was actually on YouTube, but technically porn because it was a video. It was a video for a song. And I'm like, well, first of all, why would anybody find that enjoyable to watch for a song? Secondly, this is a third grade girl that got into that.
Yeah.
And so I just think, oh my God, what is she looking at home? You know what I mean? If this is what I caught her doing here. So anyway, all that to say is like, it's sad because you're talking about as an adult, what we're feeding ourselves, what can come out. And it's like, well, kids nowadays have access to so much more than we ever had, and they're feeding themselves. So what creates that type of adult that, and eventually, are they watching murder, like story? You know what I mean? Back in the day, mom says, oh no, you can't watch TV. You can't watch a movie unless it's a G-rated movie. And then it slowly got to PG.
Do you know that I remember getting kicked out on Saturday Night Fever? Was it Saturday Night? Yeah, Saturday Night Fever, right? With the John Travolta movie?
Yeah. I don't remember. What do you mean kicked out?
I don't know. There was a part of the movie. I still don't know what the part of the movie is.
Oh, you mean they made you leave the room or something?
You were in the movie. All five
I was in
of
the movie?
You were dancing with John Travolta. I remember. The five of us were inside there, and you guys literally said, Benny, you have to leave.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, why? And they were like, you have to go. Because I guess you guys had already seen this part, and I had to leave. And then pardon?
How old were you?
I was I don't know, I must have been a preteen. Probably a preteen. When did John Travolta when did that movie come out?
Like 77, I think.
So we graduated in 84. That would have been 17. So 7 years before that. So I was 10.
10.
So I was about 10. So I was somewhere in the area of 10 or 11 years old. So the thing is that, and it was on TV by then. In those days, it was 2 or 3 years before it was on TV. It wasn't like 15 minutes after it was on. So yeah, because isn't that true? It wasn't on TV until it was years later.
It was edited on TV.
And it was also
watched a
TV
video.
edited, but mom and dad didn't want me in there, and apparently you didn't either, because all of you guys screamed,
I don't remember.
Benny, you gotta leave, and I was like, all right, so I left.
Wow, I don't remember that.
And so
I don't even remember the part you're talking about either.
I never saw it. I never ended up going back to see the movie to know what I missed.
Yeah. So funny.
But the point is that it's interesting because in those days, well, first of all, we had 4 channels and it wasn't a big deal. Nowadays, kids have a phone, and depending on the parental things that they did, you can get,
anything,
there's
really.
so much porn. Porn is another subject.
You're talking about
things.
porn is one thing, and I'm not saying that that's great for a child to see, but I'm talking even things about finding things where somebody has murdered somebody, or a movie that is, I don't know, like,
well, Friends. I didn't realize. I mean, the first 3 seasons of Friends is basically, it's just talking about sex. I mean, it's so much. I'm not saying it's not funny, but there's so much. It's about.
So
sex.
you're either young enough where it'll go over your head, and then there's a part where you're like, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, and you wonder about what's really going on there, and the real issue.
Video games too.
Oh, video
Kids,
games.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so here's my point.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I moved
No,
you.
don't be sorry, because I'm really glad that you're adding to it, because if you wouldn't have, we would have ended the podcast 5 minutes ago. Podcast 5 minutes ago. I think the thing is that what I really wanted to get at was the fact that so many people are pouring things into their life without thinking. They're just not thinking about what's coming in. It's just what I do. I listen to this, I read this, I do that. This is what I do every single day. And they're not conscious of the fact that every single thing that you put in is influencing how you are responding to other people. It's influencing how you're responding to yourself.
Right.
It's influencing your own self-esteem. It's influencing your own anxiety. It's influencing your depression. It's influencing the way you relate to another person. If you're watching a ton of porn and then you're looking at your partner and saying, why don't you do that? Well, no one does that.
Right.
You do it when you're paid.
Right. You got to pay me then. I'll
Yeah,
do it.
exactly. It's like, so it's like, I mean, porn is a totally separate issue, but it's a huge issue. It's something that I've spent a significant amount of time studying. And you had
to watch a lot for homework to make sure. Yeah,
studying the influence. Okay, I should say. Oh, that's funny. Okay, well, I think we should close the podcast on that.
No, but I think that's a huge. I think everything that you're saying is so. You think about people like Brian Koberger, for example. Like what was feeding him for years? I know he's a little off. He's a little extreme, but was there something that he was feeding himself for years?
Well, and so what's really interesting is I have no idea who, what his deal is, but what I would say is this, is that 99% of problems come from the fact that we're trying to cope with a particular issue that happened in our life. So people are wounded and they're hurt. They're feeling we talked a little bit about this last podcast, but something happens in your life and then you go, I don't want to feel this way.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we say, okay, I'm going to do something to cover that up.
Yeah.
So we could do benign things that nobody really thinks about and nobody cares about, which is I eat too much. And so, you're a little heavy and nobody cares and everybody goes, whatever, everybody's heavy. But the truth of the matter is you're covering up a problem because you're saying I'm hurting and the way I deal with it is I eat.
Yeah.
Other people go the other extreme.
Right.
I'm going to exercise.
They lose their,
I'm going to exercise to death. I'm going to exercise I'm going to be in perfect shape. Why? Because that's the only time that I feel good. That's how I cope with my particular issue. And then other people, we talked about anxiety last session, so I'm not going to go there. But the point is that everybody copes. Everybody copes at some level. They don't like their work. They don't like their wife. They don't like their friends. They don't like whatever it is. And whatever's going on, we choose, I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do to cover that up. Some people cover it up, and I want to be really careful how I say this, but some people cover it up with religion. Because I've seen this a gazillion times. All of a sudden they come into the church, they don't love God. They love the traditions of the church and the relationships there. But and I'm not saying they don't love God. Maybe they do or they don't. But they start not worshiping God. They start worshiping the works of working for God.
For sure.
And so that's why when they lose the works, they're like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
And that proves like, oh, I really wasn't worshiping God. I was worshiping, I loved serving in that area or I loved doing whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then they kicked you out and you go, oh, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And so, or they feel pressure to all of a sudden do something really well, whatever it is, whether it be leading a small group or playing the guitar in whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is that people find a place that they all of a sudden go, ooh, I belong here. This is where it feels good. And that's where they end up going in order to cover up the pain or the hurt or whatever it is. It could be anything. It doesn't matter. It could be anything. And the extreme ones are alcohol, drugs, whatever.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is that everybody's doing it to some degree.
Right.
And my point is for this podcast is ask yourself, what am I feeding myself and how is it influencing me? Because if you're listening to just one thing, I'm going to say if you're only listening to worship music, you might say, well, that's the greatest thing in the world. But how is that influencing you? If you're still stressed out and you're anxious, then I would say, well, maybe you need to change the recipe because as long as you keep doing the same recipe, you're going to get the same cookie. And so you got to figure out how am I going to change the recipe a wee bit so that all of a sudden I'm a different person. And that to me is a big deal.
Yeah.
Was that a little lecture?
Kind of.
Yeah.
No, it was good. I totally get it and I totally agree.
Yeah.
I really do. That's why I watched Love Island.
I have no idea what Love Island is.
Oh my gosh.
I've heard about it.
I have to tell you, I have a guilty pleasure of watching Housewives of Orange County and Housewives of Beverly Hills. Those are like these reality shows. And those are my two guilty
Is a
pleasures.
Kardashian in it?
No.
Oh.
I've never watched the Kardashian ones. But anyway, all that to say, like, I know people that watch all of the housewives. They have housewives all over the country. But these are the two I watch because they're in California. But anyway, and that's bad enough. I mean, Peter even will walk in when I'm watching it and he'll go, oh my God, all they do is fight and all they do is this and they, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I know, it's just entertaining. I mean, it really is. And as soon as it's over, I don't think about it ever again. It's over. But then this school season, I'm leaving school like the day or two before, and a couple people are like talking about Love Island. I've never heard of Love Island. I guess it's season 7 just happened, so it's been on for 7 seasons. Like, oh, you have to watch it. You have to watch it. I'm like, okay. So they said start on season 6 because the other ones were like, but season 6 was great. I watch it. It is the most ridiculous reality show there ever was. It's about couples that they're not couples, they're all singles that end up being a couple, and then they can decide they don't want to be a couple, and then they're tested on their coupleness and what have you. But the funny thing about it is when Peter comes in with that show, he's like, seriously, like, you're watching this? And it's weird because the first...
Wait, what do you mean they're tested on their coupleness?
So they test them. They're like, do you want to stay with this couple? And they make them do these like games, and then
It's a literal game show. It's like not.
No, it's not a game show.
Well,
but
winner,
it's
right?
well, they do. There is a winner at the end of it. What couple stayed together? I guess the country can vote on these couples and stuff. Okay, this is how invested I am. Like, I don't even know I don't know what it's supposed to be. But the reason I'm telling you this is because it really is stupid. It really is. And when I watched the first one, I'm like, wow, my friends watch this. This is not that good. And I'm not
like me watching The Office first episode.
Not even that. Like, I felt the same way with the first Office episode. Like, I don't know if I can get into this. This is just bad TV. And it's young couples that are all like scantily clad. Like, I don't think there's one girl that owns a regular bathing suit. They're all the, up the butt and low on the boob kind of things. And all that to say, the first episode ended and I was like, I'm like, but I do need to see what happens. So I'm going to watch the second one. And then I was like, oh God, this isn't really good. And then I'm like, but I do need to see what happens. So I went to watching the whole season. And every time Peter sees it on, he's like, I seriously can't believe you're watching this. I'm like, I can't either, actually. I can, but...
Yeah, but they know how to hook you. That's why it stays.
So
that's why it's 7 seasons in.
When I watched it, exactly. When I was feeding me, like, what was that feeding me? I don't even know. I don't even know what to make of it. In all honesty,
Well, what I can tell you is that I finished reading a book a couple weeks ago, and then. When we were on vacation, Patty and I read a book together. And when I say I read, by the way, I usually read about half of these books, and half of these books I listen to. Mm-hmm. And one of the books Patty and I just literally listened to listened to together because our daughter sent it to us. And then all of a sudden I was reading a book on history. I always like to read a history book, but I always like to read something that's more like something for me, something that's going to be helpful, and I couldn't find one. And finally I looked, and I know I'm weird. I have a journal of all the books that people have said that might be good. And I looked at one, and I picked it up, and I started reading it. And it was interesting for me, and it spurred on this conversation because all of a sudden I realized I've lived to a large degree by this principle, which is the fact that, I even did this illustration once, and I'm not going to be able to do it correctly for you, and for all of our YouTube, this is water. Okay. So grab it. So let's pretend like this is, it's soda. What's this called? Soda water, right? Yeah. Like bubbly water. And so if I go like this and I shake it and it comes out.
Yeah.
What comes out?
The water.
Right. But why water? Why not tea?
Because you put water in it.
That's what was in it.
Exactly.
And so what's fascinating to me is that people get in an argument with their wife, they get an argument with their coworker, they get an argument with their boss, they get frustrated with life because there's something that happens, and all they're doing is feeding themselves crap, and then life shakes them up and they want goodness to come out. And I'm saying goodness not going to come out.
Yeah.
What's going to come out is whatever you put in.
Right.
And so if you're constantly putting in negative crap,
Right.
then of course that's what you're going to get out.
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating to me because people wonder, why am I angry? Why am I sad? Why am I anxious? Well, what are you listening to?
Yeah.
What are you reading?
Right.
What are you doing that's feeding the part of you that's the opposite?
Right.
Now, again, we talked last week about traumas and different things like that, and that's a totally different subject matter. But for so many people, honestly, they're feeding themselves something and they're expecting a different result.
Yeah.
And my point of wholehearted living today was just simply to say, feed yourself what you ultimately want to become, what you want
Sure.
to be.
Yeah.
And then
I want to be a guest on Love Island.
oh, okay. Well, I've got a couple bikinis here.
I'm just kidding. No, I totally agree with you 100%. I'm not even like,
She's not even like
no, I always agree. No, I don't always agree, but I do agree with this like
what do
wholeheartedly.
you mean you don't always agree?
I do. I usually do agree with everything you say. I'm always intrigued by what you have to talk about, but I do agree with that. Like, I feel like if you're feeding your body negativity, you're going to manifest negativity.
Do you guys have a couple seconds? Everybody has to have a couple seconds. Okay, we have people in the room. I'm going to have you guys do this too. Iggy, you have to wake up. So here's the deal. What I want you guys to do is do me a favor. And in just a second, I'm going to ask you guys to look for something. And then I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, okay? So you ready? Actually, so what I want you to do right now, everybody, unless you're driving, close your eyes.
Okay.
Okay? Everybody? Okay. Now, open your eyes and look for everything red. No matter where you're at, look for everything red. You can move your head around. Don't stay looking forward. Look for everything red.
Yes.
Okay? Close your eyes. Now, tell me everything you saw that was blue.
I was only looking for red.
I know. So that's the point. So here's the thing. Here's the thing in life that I think is fascinating. Is I asked you guys to look for everything red. And then I said, but tell me something blue. The truth of the matter is this is the way life works, is that so many people are feeding themselves red, but they want to see blue. And I'm saying that you really have to choose to look for that other thing and feed yourself that other thing. And if you're not, then you're not going to see it. Mm-hmm. That's just all there is to it. Mm-hmm. And so I could tell you, you want me obviously to say what's red, and you're going to go, that
I remember
pillow
all
and that thing.
this and the salt
Yeah.
shaker
But
over
once I
there.
said the blue thing, you're like, I can't. I have no idea.
Focused on red
because I was totally focused on red. Mm-hmm. And if you're feeding yourself red, that's all you're going to see. Mm-hmm. And so if you really want to see something different, then you got to feed yourself that other thing. Mm-hmm. And so to me, that's the key.
Like it.
Yay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. So this is wholehearted living.
That's right. Thank you. No, that was good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess I guess that we need to just be what we want to exude is what we need to feed ourselves and look for and make and not
manifest.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So folks, we're at wholehearted living podcast. Yes. I didn't do that right, but hopefully you'll get it on Instagram and YouTube. And we would love for you guys to subscribe.
Spotify.
Say thank you and Spotify as well. Thank you, Iggy, for keeping us in sound. Woo!
Iggy needs to go to bed. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. We will chat with you next time. Bye.
Ciao.